How's it going, everybody? Checking in on you after Game 4 of the World Series, which is now tied at 2 games apiece. Hey, look, this video is going to look a little bit different. I am in the process of rebuilding my entire setup, my entire library for the 2023 season. I'm redoing all my player reels, so I'm just going to let them run while we chat, and it's going to be more focused on the audio. So Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone are set to meet the media on Friday afternoon. That'll be interesting. Boone has been facing a lot of criticism, and in my opinion, rightfully so. I think he had a good regular season, but during the postseason, the miscommunication errors are the biggest problem for me. You know, not communicating with Clay Holmes, who's your closer, not communicating with Harrison Bader on changing up the lineup. Those are some big issues. And part of me thinks that, you know, naively perhaps, before every postseason game, you know, maybe the entire team should have some kind of a meeting to talk about, you know, the lineup, you know, the strategy for that night's game, you know, kind of get everybody pulling on the same rope, get everything out in the open. That seems like proper communication. And I get you probably don't do that before every regular season game, and in the postseason you don't want to change things up. But, you know, the postseason is a different animal. And I think it requires an extra layer of focus that, you know, maybe the manager didn't have. And so I kind of do fault Aaron Boone for some of the problems going to Clark Schmidt as if he were Mariano Rivera in a couple of key spots. I don't know about that. As for Brian Cashman, sounds like his job is safe if he's going to be at this press conference. I wouldn't show up for a press conference if I was getting fired. So I wouldn't imagine that he will be there to resign or to get fired. He's there. He's probably been negotiating his contract during the World Series. And now that the World Series is nearing its end, just 3 games remaining, whoever wins 2 out of 3 is the world champion. It's time to start thinking about the offseason. I've taken a little break to try and rest up my hands, rest up my mind. And as I mentioned, I'm rebuilding my entire production. My Final Cut library was over 3 terabytes. So I've had to severely reduce everything and start fresh for next season. I am thinking about the different types of content for next season. I want to have more members-only type stuff. I am also going to do a Yankees game day more frequently. I'm developing something that will allow me to create basically a voicemail-oriented show with a quick preview and some player highlights and just some fun stuff that we can release every day or at least every night game around lunchtime of that day. So you got several hours to watch it. The pregame shows that would come out around 4 or 5 o'clock, they just didn't have the shelf life, and so I would see that, you know, I'd get a couple of thousand views and then they would die off. And I, you know, even though you get a little bit of money for that, whatever, I'm not in this for the money. I want things to be worthwhile and have a little bit of shelf life and to challenge me creatively. So lots of fun stuff coming. I did have Frankie Baseball on to talk about Aaron Judge, and we ended up getting into a lot of different other types of topics. We talked about the Kennedy assassination. We talked about aliens and UFOs. But unfortunately, it was an awesome conversation, but unfortunately, there were some tech issues. There was a bad echo just because of a poor internet connection. And so, you know, that one had to be scrapped, unfortunately. It's part of the nature of the business. That happens sometimes. But speaking of Judge, you know, we're going to start to hear a lot more about Aaron Judge in the coming days and weeks. Obviously, he headlines the free agent class for the Yankees. Andrew Benintendi, also a free agent. I do think the Yankees are going to try and bring Benintendi back. I think he's a great fit. Obviously, a left fielder by design, not somebody who's playing out of position, as Andrew Rotondi pointed out the other day in our conversation. You know, good left-handed balance to the lineup, contact, hitting ability. And the Yankees were really missing him in the postseason. Not only the defense where bloops dropped in, but we saw the lack of contact from the Yankees order, and they were missing a true leadoff man. In my opinion, you got to hit Benintendi leadoff next year, at least against right-handed pitchers. Maybe you go with DJ against left-handed pitchers. And I think that was the plan for this postseason, but having both of those guys out obviously hurt the Yankees tremendously. Not saying they would have won if they had those guys, but definitely hurt that they were not available. The Yankees do have a bunch of pretty good prospects coming up for the foreseeable future. Anthony Volpe probably going to make his debut next year. Sounds like Oswald Peraza is probably going to get the start at shortstop to begin the season, and I would just leave him there. Now, it's possible the Yankees advance Volpe ahead of schedule if they think he's a better defender and put him at shortstop and Peraza at second base, but then you're facing the decision of what do you do with Gleyber Torres. I think the Yankees would probably rather have a couple of guys like Peraza and Volpe who are contact-oriented, then continuing to move forward with Gleyber Torres, even though he had a fine season. I just don't know if his type of approach, swinging from the heels down 5-6 runs in the ninth inning of a playoff game, is what the Yankees need right now. So it would not surprise me if the Yankees try and deal him somewhere to maybe refill some of the coffers with prospects. I think Jason Dominguez is moving much quicker than I expected. I didn't expect him to excel in Double-A the way he did at the end of the season. Now, he is not playing as well in the Arizona Fall League, so he's probably looking at least a half a season in Double-A, and then, maybe you get the last couple of months of the season in Triple-A. Don't think we're going to see him in the major leagues next year, but, anything's possible. If you have a series of injuries or whatever, it just could fall to where he's the next guy available if he's in Triple-A. Harrison Bader did a really nice job for us, and I think the Yankees fans are excited to see a full season out of him. What happens if he really blossoms and has that Gold Glove type of season, maybe benefits from the shift a little bit? We saw the power stroke come once he got to the Yankees. What if he hits 20-plus home runs, hits 290, steals a bunch of bases, plays great defense, and you've already got Benintendi, and now you got Dominguez coming up? I know people are saying, well, then you just trade somebody. Not always that easy. So Yankees are going to have some roster issues to face over the next couple of seasons. But for now, if you want to get past the Astros, which is going to be no easy task, I think you have to look at bringing back Aaron Judge and Andrew Benintendi as the first priorities, and it would really help to get some more depth in the bullpen. I really like Diaz, the Mets closer. I think it would be great to have an actual closer in there, allow you to slide Clay Holmes back into the 8th inning spot. Michael King will be back next season. They'll probably, ease him in a little bit because of the fractured elbow. Obviously, Marinaccio did a nice job this year. Losing him for the playoffs was huge. I thought we saw some good stuff out of Trevino. I think the Yankees bullpen, if you add one or two more arms, can be extremely formidable, and it doesn't hurt to bolster the rotation. Jameson Taillon is a free agent. Not sure if the Yankees are going to bring him back. It really depends on what kind of contract he's asking for, and the fact that the Yankees also have to bring back Judge and Benintendi, I think that a lot of their dollars might get soaked up, and they might have to go with a younger starting pitcher to fill out the rotation. I think you could see Clark Schmidt finally move back to that role. He's clearly not a high-leverage middle reliever. And I wish we hadn't traded all of our depth for Frankie Montas, but we do have Frankie Montas coming back. If he can somehow get healthy, look, I'm not going to lie to you. He's not going to be a good pitcher. He's never been good away from Oakland. Before the Yankees traded for him, I figured that might be an anomaly, but after watching him pitch, it's clear to me that it's not. So not only is he not very good, he's had some shoulder issues. So that might go down as one of the worst all-time Brian Cashman trades. I'm thinking about redoing some of my old videos this winter. One of them is, Brian Cashman best and worst moves, because there are some that need to be added. We can add the Montas to the worst trades, but definitely want to add Bader to one of the better deals. I mean, look, I get that Jordan Montgomery got off to a great start, and it looked pretty bad for a minute there, but I love what we've got in Harrison Bader. So I just wanted to check in on you guys and give you a quick update. I promise I'll be back with more. Max Goodman from Sports Illustrated has agreed to come on at some point after this press conference over the next few days. So I'll be back with that. And until then, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.